What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another video on Fantasy Football Scout. It's been a long time since we did a transfer watch, but it is back today. I'm going to go through 4 players. 2 have been highly transferred in, 2 have been highly transferred out, and just talk about whether it's a good, bad decision and also why it might be happening. So we're starting off with Jack Grealish. 48,446 transfers out at the time we're recording this. And to be fair, it's not really been an easy start for Aston Villa since the restart. They haven't picked up a single win yet in 5 games. So they lost to Chelsea, Wolves and Liverpool. So they did have, some pretty hard fixtures to start with. But they also played Sheffield United and Newcastle United. Both teams they drew against. So no win yet. And obviously they are struggling at the foot of the table. From a fixtures perspective, it doesn't really get much easier for Grealish and co either. They're now playing Man United at home, Crystal Palace at home, Everton away and Arsenal at home. 4 fixtures I think they're going to struggle to score goals in. We've seen United do well. Palace are very rarely a team that can see too many goals. Everton and Arsenal both been good defensively as well. So Aston Villa are probably going to struggle. Now, looking at them as a whole, like their team, averaging 8 shots in the box per match so far isn't actually that bad since the restart. The problem is the quality of players that are trying to convert those chances. So to be fair to Grealish, since the restart, he's created 13 chances, 1 more than Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, a bit of context there. Kevin De Bruyne has played less minutes, but still, it's pretty decent kind of return so far for Grealish in terms of his output. But who is he providing those chances for? Who's going to convert all those passes, those crosses, or whatever it might be from Grealish? And that is really the problem. Himself, he's only had 2 shots in the box as well, so goal threat looks really low. You'd want to see a much higher return than that in terms of the shots in the box to be able to get some goals on the cards as well. So I got to be honest, I see absolutely no reason at all to keep Grealish at this point. I'm surprised that a lot of people have still got him. I mean, 48,446, I guess, is not that big a number in comparison to how many active managers there are. I guess people are still holding him from the double game week, especially if you didn't have kind of wild cards and stuff to get rid of. But I think for now, there's almost no question. Grealish has to be a sell. The fixtures are not good. The team are not good. He's not taking enough shots in the box for my liking. And there's plenty of options, not necessarily at his price, but slightly higher. You can go up to the likes of Martial, Mahrez, etc. And slightly lower, you've got Saka at Arsenal, Foden at Man City, who probably will start the next game against Newcastle for a lot less money as well that you can then put in elsewhere into your team. So I can see where people are transferring out. I absolutely would be too. Next, we turn our eyes to Mason Greenwood. I think he's the most transferred in player this week. Unsurprisingly, 234,324 transfers in so far going into game week 34. Pretty much scored exactly the same as Martial and Fernandes, just a couple of points behind, but obviously for a lot less money. And every season, at the start of the season, the commentary we hear within the FPL community, I've probably said it myself at times as well, it's really difficult to make a team. There's no value players. Everyone's too expensive. And then eventually, sometimes at the start of the season, sometimes throughout the season, players start to become kind of more prominent in our thoughts. They become better value. They're cheaper players that maybe weren't an option at the start, but they are now. So the likes of Mahrez and Vardy, obviously the year they won the league, they were really good options. We've seen Michu at the start. Bale's become an option very cheap. Kane was extremely cheap when he burst on the scene as well. And now it's Mason Greenwood's turn. And to be honest, forget about budget options for a second up front. Right now, he's arguably one of the best forward options, regardless of price. When you look at, maybe Aubameyang's a decent shout, Kane potentially, Jimenez has blanked in the last 2. We're going to talk about him a little bit as well. So I'm not saying they're bad options, but I think right now there's not a massive standout option in the forward category. And for 4.5 million, Greenwood looks one of the best bets right now. So I was a little bit worried about his starting place going forward. I expect him to start the majority, but I was a little bit worried that maybe Dan James or someone like that might come in. But the fact that he's now started a couple in a row, Solskjaer's obviously found this kind of formation with the 5 attackers. Matic is more of the deep-lying defensive player. It's working really well, winning games, top 4 still in sight. I don't see why he would change it at this point. Would I be completely shocked if Greenwood got benched at some point? No. But the way it's going, I just don't see that happening. Already 7 shots in the box so far since the restart as well, which is joint top of all the Man United attackers. So Martial is also on 7. Greenwood has played a few less minutes as well, which is decent too. He has scored 3 goals from an expected goals of 0.46. So stats lovers out there might say, well, he's going to regress at some point. He can't keep up this rate with the chances that he's getting. But obviously, he could potentially get more chances as we go forward. And for 4.5 million, it's probably a very small sample size. Probably not too worried about that. Just get him in at the price with the fixtures, given how attacking Man United are. I do think at some point we're going to see a bit more of a spread of points. Obviously, he's done well in the last two. There's no reason to say it won't be Rashford and Martial only in the next game. Maybe Pogba will get a return here or there. Fernandes obviously is the man as well in the club. So whether or not he's going to keep returning these big scores, you say probably not. But for 4.5 million, he doesn't need those huge scores necessarily every single week. Even better if he does get them. I do think the stars kind of aligned for Man United last week. In really good form, played an attacking team, playing Bournemouth who are a pretty poor defence. If you look at the fixtures going forward, they're still good, but I wouldn't necessarily expect us to kind of blow those teams away. So Bournemouth was a really good fixture, but we're scoring goals. Aston Villa up next could be a decent one. The only thing I would say about Aston Villa, they've only conceded 5 shots in the box since the restart, which is down from 11.8 before lockdown. They only conceded 3 to Liverpool. Now, Liverpool didn't look very good, but still, it's clear to see that Aston Villa are defending a little bit better. So that's what I'm saying by the stars aligning for Bournemouth. That was a really good game. Aston Villa might be a bit more difficult. Southampton and Crystal Palace may be a little bit more difficult. Still expect Man United to win. Still expect a few goals to go in. I'm just not sure it's going to be 5. In which case, you know, if we're winning kind of 2 or 3-0 and someone else has scored the goals, I wouldn't, you know, you'd probably start to see the likes of Greenwood maybe come off after 60 minutes to kind of rest them ready for the next game. That's not to say you shouldn't buy him, but I just think it's worth setting kind of expectations. But the form he's in, I can't say anything. 234,000 transfers in, absolutely great shout. I would absolutely have him in my team if I didn't already have 3 Man United players. An extremely good purchase. So here is the man I was talking about just a minute ago, Raul Jimenez. 48,892 transfers out. 4 games since the restart for Wolves. He's scored twice. So 50% of the games he's played since the restart, he's returned. But people may be getting a little bit frustrated. I'm seeing some comments here or there about maybe getting rid of him. 2 blanks in a row against Villa and Arsenal. Now, to be fair, like I've just said about Villa, their defence has been performing a little bit better. And Arsenal have kept 3 clean sheets in a row as well. So they're looking pretty good too. So they're probably 2 defences that are a little bit better than we've probably, in the past at least, given them credit for. So I'm not hugely concerned. For most of the season, he's been consistent. 21 attacking returns, 15 goals, 6 assists so far. So I feel like it's maybe a little bit early to be jumping off all these managers that are getting rid of him. And I don't, right now, with the strikers, I don't really see a clear path to who people are going for. There's not really, like I said, a standout striker option. But I will say this, there's only 5 game weeks left. Yes, he's consistent. Yes, I would expect him to score before, score a few more before the season is out. There's not many more game weeks to do something a little bit different. Is Jimenez going to be the one to propel you up the ranks? He's not that much of an explosive player. The reason we like him so much is because he's consistent. You usually get those scores of kind of 6, 7, 8 or 9 most weeks. Is that going to happen for the rest of the season? Next 3 fixtures, Sheffield United away, Everton at home, Burnley away. Again, not really 3 teams that I would expect to concede lots of goals. Now, again, you don't necessarily need him to score braces every single week. But if you're only expecting a goal here or there, hoping for a few bonus points, that's probably not going to punish you too much if you do get rid. So I'm on the fence with this one a little bit. For me, I've got him, and I'm not really looking at taking him out because I just have other transfers that I want to make, which I think are a bit more exciting and probably going to hopefully profit me with a few more points. But at the same time, I don't really begrudge anyone that's getting rid of him. Not really just because of the 2 blanks, but I just think he's not someone, like he's so highly owned. The fixtures are not really there for a huge amount of goals. And yes, he probably will get some returns anyway. But I just think maybe if you've got other options or you want to try a punt on a different striker, this might be the time to do it. 7 shots in the box so far is the same as Martial and Greenwood, so it's not bad. He's also created 4 chances as well. So I still think he's going to get returns before the end of the season. I still think it's probably a little bit early to jump off. But if you've got some nice transfer plan you want to do or another forward you want to bring in, then why not? 5 game weeks to go. This is the time to try and get that rank up now. I'm really enjoying seeing Willian's return so far since restart. Every single week without fail, FPL managers, including myself probably at times, and Chelsea fans, keep telling us Willian is not an option. Willian is not an option. He's rubbish. He's never a good FPL option. Pulisic is the one to go for. And then every single week, Willian gets a return. In fact, his last 5 scores are 9, 14, 10, 2 and 13. So 1 blank in the last 5 games. And Pulisic in the last 4 hasn't got a score higher than 9 yet. So Willian's 4 returns are all higher in the last 5 than Pulisic's 4 in the last 4. So it's pretty decent. Yes, he is relying a bit on set pieces, free kicks and penalties. You'd expect the penalties to dry up at some point. But it is Pulisic that's winning them. Let's not forget. Everyone talks about him and his goal threat and stuff, but his last 3 assists have all come from being fouled. So when he gets fouled in a good area for a free kick or in the box, who's taking that set piece? it is Willian. Now, the fixtures up next, Palace, Sheffield United and Norwich. That Norwich game stands out as really good. Sheffield United is an interesting one now. I've just talked kind of the last few players. I don't consider that a good fixture. Now, they weren't looking great. Obviously, Man United kind of did really well. I wouldn't say demolished them, but did really well against them, kind of controlled the game. But O'Connell is back now. He came on as a sub in the last game. So that's really going to show him from Sheffield United. So I don't really see that as a great fixture. And again, Palace is not, it's not usually a fixture I would expect to concede a lot of goals. Now, since the restart, Pulisic does have a bit more goal threat from open play. So I've looked at non-penalty expected goals, because obviously Willian's expected goals is higher because of the penalties. But I've taken them out just in case he doesn't get one of them every week. If he does, then he's a great option. But the expected goals for Pulisic, non-penalty, is 1.65, only 0.45 for Willian. So from open play, yes, Pulisic does look a lot better. And when you watch the game, you can see that as well. You don't need the stats to tell you that. In terms of the other stats, though, just while we're talking about them, 13 shots for both of them since the restart. 9 in the box for Pulisic and 6 for Willian. So Willian taking quite a few long-range shots there. Chances created, though, Willian is quite far ahead, 11 to only 4 for Pulisic. So it does feel, when set pieces aren't an option, Willian's probably going to get you the assists, Pulisic's probably going to get you the goals. But right now, it's not happening like that. So yeah, I do think I would probably still side with for Pulisic, just from watching him from open play. He looks the most dangerous. He can win fouls like we've seen, but also his goal threat is that little bit higher. So I can't massively argue with people transferring Willian in, 71,100 people that have done that, because his returns are so good. And to be fair, we always, for certain players, we'll always say, well, he's got free kicks as well, and he's got penalties. That makes him a better option, a slightly better option. If you're considering two players, they both look pretty good. One has penalties. Most of the time, we go with the guy with penalties. So why should Willian be any different? Why does he get this stick from FPL managers? So I'm not against it. I know if I was bringing a Chelsea player, I'd probably still go for Pulisic. But Willian, it's hard to argue with him right now. Chelsea looking pretty good form, scoring plenty of goals. He's creating plenty of chances as well, and having plenty of shots and set pieces. There's not too much to dislike with him. So I'm going to leave that one there. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. Subscribe to the Fantasy Football Scout channel for plenty more content this week, next week, and every week until the FPL season is done. And of course, next season as well. If you want to become a member of Fantasy Football Scout as well, there's a link in the description below. You can get it for less than £1.50 per month. All the stats I just talked about, plus a hell of a lot more, is available by becoming a member. So make sure to check that out. Otherwise, I'll catch you later on today for the Scoutcast, and then tomorrow we'll be back with the team news live stream as well. Until then, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.